When ice ruled the earth, it wasn't only the land that felt immense. The creatures that walked upon it were unlike anything alive today. This was an age of giants, shaped by a world both unforgiving and vast, where sheer size was often the key to survival. To stand there would have been to feel small, no matter who or what you were. The great herds came first. Picture an endless plain, swept by wind and cold, yet alive with movement. Woolly mammoths marched in long lines, their shaggy coats rippling like curtains of coarse hair, tusks curved like scythes as they dug through snow for hidden grass. These were not solitary beasts. They traveled by the dozens, sometimes by the hundreds, pressing deep footprints into the frozen ground that stretched for miles. Alongside them roamed the mastodons, stockier cousins of the mammoth. With shorter legs and straighter tusks, they moved through the mixed forests clinging to the edges of the ice, stripping bark and branches with relentless hunger. But the mammoths and mastodons were only the beginning. The plains thundered with bison, their broad shoulders and thick fur shielding them from the wind. Muskoxen huddled in tight circles when danger drew near. Reindeer, ancestors of today's caribou, migrated endlessly, hooves striking the ground, in a rhythm as old as the glaciers themselves, and predators followed. Dire wolves prowled the herd's edges, larger and stronger than wolves of today, their jaws built to shatter bone. Saber-toothed cats lurked in the shrubs, fangs like daggers poised to strike prey far larger than themselves. Cave lions nearly, twice the size of modern lions, hunted in coordinated packs, bold enough to challenge even the mammoths. Above it all towered the glaciers, rivers of ice so vast they seemed like frozen walls at the edge of the world. Their fractured faces gleamed with deep blue crevasses, and each crack of shifting ice echoed for miles. They moved slowly, but with unstoppable force, grinding continents beneath their weight. Where they passed, they scoured away soil, carved valleys, and left behind lakes, cliffs, and ridges that forever reshaped the land and the lives of those who crossed it. Yet, in the shadow of this frozen might, life endured. Animals adapted in astonishing ways, thick layers of fat beneath their hides, woolly undercoats that trapped heat, even blood that carried warmth to the farthest limbs. Humans, too, survived here. To our ancestors, mammoths were both a threat and a lifeline. Their bones became shelter, their hides clothing, their meat the calories that kept small hunting bands alive through long, bitter nights. Still, nothing could diminish the overwhelming scale of this world. A single glacier could stretch hundreds of miles. A herd of mammoths might take days to pass across the horizon. Even the sky itself seemed larger in the Ice Age. Its pale light spilled across snow and ice, reflecting in every direction. This was not a world built for comfort. It was a world that demanded endurance. And in return it forged creatures, human and animal alike, into survivors of extraordinary resilience. To stand on that frozen, wind-swept land was to see Earth in one of its rarest forms. The air stung like knives. Glaciers groaned in the distance, like ancient beasts. On the horizon, silhouettes of animals, larger than houses, moved in slow, deliberate lines. Every sound, every sight, spoke of a planet reshaped by forces far beyond the control of any living thing. Yet, there was balance. The glaciers advanced, but they also retreated. Giants thrived, but they also fell, to hunger, to hunters, or to the snow itself. Life persisted not by conquering the cold, but by learning to live within it. Through frozen millennia, that balance was tested again and again. The climate shifted. Ice gave way to warmth, then returned. Animals migrated, adapted, or vanished. And humans, always watching, learned to follow the slow dance of Earth and its icebound giants. But what drove this relentless rhythm? The answer lay in the engine of the Ice Age, the planet's shifting climate. The cold was never steady. Even at the height of the Ice Age, Earth did not remain locked in endless freeze. It breathed. Over tens of thousands of years, temperatures rose and fell like a slow tide. With each shift, glaciers advanced, then retreated, reshaping landscapes and the lives that depended on them. At the heart of this rhythm were patterns still traceable today, Milankovitch cycles, named after the mathematician who first revealed them. These cycles are written in the Earth's movement around the Sun, its orbit stretching and relaxing, its axis tilting slightly more or less, even its gentle wobble like a slowing top. Too gradual for any single generation to notice, yet powerful enough to change the face of the planet. When the tilt was smaller, summers in the north were cooler. Snow lingered year after year, feeding the growth of ice sheets. When the tilt increased, summers grew warmer, ice retreated, and the glaciers pulled back. It was balance, subtle, relentless, turning the world from cold to less cold, then back again, over spans of deep time. But orbital cycles alone were not enough to explain the might of the Ice Age. Earth's climate is a web of feedbacks, each one amplifying the next. Expanding glaciers reflected more sunlight, cooling the planet further. Oceans pulled carbon dioxide from the air, lowering greenhouse gases and deepening the freeze. And when warming began, the cycle reversed. Melting ice exposed dark land and open water, which absorbed heat. The oceans released carbon dioxide, trapping warmth. The glaciers shrank. The Earth never simply fell into an ice age, nor escaped from it. It swung between states like a pendulum, slow, steady, immense. Even within this grand rhythm came sudden jolts, sharp pulses of cold or bursts of warmth that rippled across the Ice Age world, testing every creature that called it home. Some of the great shifts in the Ice Age came from the oceans, as vast currents altered their paths, carrying heat between the equator and the poles. Others were sparked by volcanic eruptions so massive that ash and sulfur veiled the sky, dimming the sun for years. At the edges of the ice sheets, colossal lakes often pooled behind walls of frozen water, until those barriers broke. When they did, floods thundered across the land, reshaping coastlines, and at times nudging the climate for centuries. To live through such upheavals was to watch the world tip slowly out of balance, then settle again. Herds of mammoth and bison drifted, south when the cold deepened, then spread north when the ice withdrew. Predators shadowed their prey. Early humans, small bands of hunters and gatherers, learned to read these shifting rhythms, moving with the seasons, following the land as it changed beneath their feet. The glaciers themselves kept the record of these transformations. Each layer of ice captured a breath of the past, tiny bubbles of air sealed as snowfall pressed down year after year. Today, when scientists drill deep into those frozen layers, they uncover the planet's memory, the fingerprints of every freeze and thaw, every sudden rise or plunge in temperature. The ice is a library of deep time, still waiting to be read. But, to truly imagine it, you must place yourself there. Picture a vast, windswept plain beneath a pale sky. To the north, a wall of ice looms like a mountain range, creeping forward mile by mile in a march no single lifetime could perceive. Then, after millennia, warmth returns. Summers lengthen, rivers roar from beneath the ice, and bare ground emerges, raw and sunlit for the first time in ages. Yet, inevitably, the cold gathers once more, and the long advance begins again. This was the breath of the Ice Age, slow, steady, powerful enough to shape continents. Not a single freeze, nor a single thaw, but a vast pendulum of time that pushed life to its limits, then drew it back again. In that rhythm, animals evolved, humans adapted, and the Earth itself became the world we still recognize, though much of its frozen past now lies hidden beneath today's warmth. Yet the story of the Ice Age is not only one of glaciers and climate. It is the story of life itself, resilient, strange, and immense, carving out an existence beneath the frozen sky. The cold did not merely test survival, it demanded transformation, from the tiniest insect beneath the snow to the mightiest mammoth. On the plains, every creature was reshaped by the chill. Even the ground was alive. Just below the snowpack, rodents burrowed in hidden networks. Lemmings, voles, and other small mammals formed the base of the food chain, their survival sustaining countless predators above. They did not vanish in hibernation, but stayed active, carving tunnels beneath the insulating snow where air was still and temperatures held steady against the bitter winds. Above them, the giants moved with heavy steps. Woolly mammoths, clad in long, coarse hair and dense underlayers of insulating wool, could endure temperatures that would freeze bare skin in minutes. Their very existence was proof of how life, in the harshest of worlds, adapted to endure.